Alright fellas, so just got back from Call of Duty next, so I wanted to make a video kind of going over my thoughts while it's fresh in my brain. I'm literally at the hotel room, I just got back, and everything's got a fresh mind, and I kind of want to just sit down and have an honest chat with you guys on my thoughts on it all. Do I like the game? Do I not like the game? Do I like multiplayer? Do I like Warzone? What do I think about zombies? Etc. So I'm just gonna go straight. This is not scripted video. This is not any, this is just straight from the heart, from the dome. As always, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna tell you guys exactly how I feel. Some of you guys might agree with my takes, some of y'all might not like my takes, but at the end of the day, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys and tell you from the heart how I feel. So without further ado, let's go. All right, let's get into multiplayer first. Multiplayer, honestly, man, when it comes to multiplayer, I always kind of like the multi. I will say I only spend about a month on multi out of the year, so I'm not too critical on it. But when Blackout 6 came out last year, I told you guys I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked the way it felt. It played fast, and I played it for a month. Did a marathon for it, all the mastery camels and stuff like that, and ultimately I really enjoyed it. Then the Black Ops 6 integration came in for Warzone. That was a shit show, as you guys know. But for Black Ops 7, I really did like it. It was fun. Now, keep in mind, my favorite game of all time is Black Ops 3. And so I personally love cracked out games. I love jetpacks. I love wall running. I love those type of style of games. Fast, quick pace, just, in your face type of gunfights, And Black Ops 7 really did remind me a lot of that. Now, I know that might not be everybody's cup of tea. Some people genuinely like slower, methodical, kind of tactical vibes. I do like that too, but there's a time and a place for it. For me, Call of Duty, I've always loved the fast-paced gunfights. So for Call of Duty, I think it should be fast and arcadey. Obviously different than something like Battlefield. That is arcadey, but it kind of leans more towards the tactical realism side. So with Black Ops 7, seeing that they actually made a arcade style, fast, kind of high skill gap game, I personally love that. I can already see a lot of the more casual community not liking this game just because I do believe it has a higher skill gap. But if you are a very competitive person and you like high skill gaps, then you're probably gonna like BO7. At the end of the day, Call of Duty is Call of Duty. If you can shoot your gun straight, you'll be fine. For me, kind of the things that I liked about BO7 was the wall bounce. Obviously, it's like the key feature, the new movement tech coming to the game. When I first heard about the wall bounce, I didn't really know what to expect. I thought it was gonna be kind of like Apex where you just bounce to the left and push off, but this wall bounce is a little bit different. This one kind of projects you up. So it pushes to the right and then it pushes your character up. So it kind of feels like jetpacks, not gonna lie. Again, not everybody's cup of tea, but this definitely is my cup of tea, which is a big reason of why I'm being a little bit more critical on Warzone, which I will get into right now. But overall, the multiplayer felt really quick, really fast. They did take off auto tac sprint, which has been in the game for a while now, and this actually felt pretty good. I do think my muscle memory was still used to auto tac sprint, and getting used to just regular sprint felt a little bit weird and a little bit slower, but it didn't feel too bad. It didn't feel too jarring. I will say when I put on the tac sprint perk, because now it's a perk, I felt really fast comparatively. But for multiplayer, it's not that big of an issue. The gunfights are a lot closer and it's a lot more controlled environments. Honestly, multi felt really fun. I really enjoyed it. And specifically, if you are a CDL fan, I think we're in for a great year. I personally haven't tuned into the CDL that much over the last couple of years, but because this game is pretty good, I probably will be tuning into the CDL a little bit more. I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper into the movement aspect of Black Ops 7. Now, Omni movement, I'm not too really sure how to explain this, but it felt a lot more grounded. So if Black Ops 6 kind of felt a little bit more slippery, Black Ops 7 felt a little bit more stable. Now, I'm not too sure if that's because of the auto tac sprint change and just regular default speeds. I don't know, but it did feel like if Black Ops 6 was kind of a greasy floor, this was like if they picked the grease up off the floor, but you could still do Omni. Still really fast and really snappy, but just a little bit more grounded. Overall, I'm pretty happy with BO7 and where it's at, given that I'm not a multiplayer guy. I do love multiplayer and I do play it for like a month to get all the mastery camels, but then after that, I'm right into Warzone. But I do give Black Ops 7 a good 7 out of 10, and that's that I kind of want to give it an 8, but for the sake of, I still think there's a little bit of stuff to improve. I do think you guys are in for a great year if you are a multiplayer only type of person. So let's talk about the things that I love about Black Ops 7. Biggest thing that I liked was the wall bounce and the way the game felt. Now, the one thing I will say right off rip is that wall bounce as of right now is not coming to Warzone, and that is a little bit scary. Now, I'm not too sure how you guys feel and how in general the community feels, but for me, that was the key feature to Black Ops 7, and that not coming to Warzone does feel a little bit weird. Playing Black Ops 7 for about an hour and then hopping over to Warzone and then not being able to wall bounce did feel a little bit kind of jarring. Some people might say that wall bouncing shouldn't be in Warzone. I personally wish it was. I do think it would change the way fights felt completely. There was a lot of clips and a lot of times where I used the new movement tech to kind of kill a lot of players, and it did feel like it increased the skill gap. But that is probably why it wasn't included in Warzone, because we know that Call of Duty and Warzone don't like the skill gap to be too drastic because they want the casual community to still be able to kill players like Biffle, which I get why from a more casual perspective, but I do feel like if you're better better at the game, you should kind of kill the player 9 times out of 10. But that is kind of the way Call of Duty is. We know rotational aim assist in general is broken, and that is only because they want the majority of players to play, so I get it. Now, staying on the movement topic while we're here, they did make a lot of changes to Warzone's running mechanics and their tac sprint stuff. So they pretty much took off auto tac sprint by default. Now you have a default sprinting speed. They did give you an auto tac sprint perk, which I'll explain in a bit, but going back to the regular default sprinting, this is faster than whatever the default sprinting is right now in the current Warzone. So if Black Ops 6's sprinting speed is here, Black Ops 7 default sprinting speed is somewhere around here. Then what they did is with the auto tac sprint perk, they made shit incredibly cracked. Like they took this all the way over here. So if you have the perk on, you are actually super fast. But I kind of like this. It did make the game feel different than what we're used to for the last 3 to 4 years. So the way that I describe this is this. It didn't just affect the sprinting itself, but it also affected gunfights. Right now, a lot of us are used to tac sprinting and our gun is up here, right? So we run and our gun's up here. And then whenever you run into an enemy, you have to come down, bring your gun down, aim and shoot from here. I believe that's called sprint to fire time or pull out speed or pull in speed. I don't know what it's called, but that speed is now drastically reduced whenever you have regular sprint. So instead of having to go all the way up here to down here to shoot, you're running here and then you instantly bring up your gun. It's a more snappier feel. Now, because of that, I do feel like the gunfights played a lot better than what we have in the current Warzone. Now, if you want to feel very cracked and super fast, you can put on the auto tac sprint perk. Yes, you will still have the pull out, pull in speeds, pull out, whatever it's called, but you get an increase in all your movement speed. And I'm telling you, it actually is really fast, which I hope they don't nerf, but knowing them, they're going to find a way to nerf the fun stuff. But ultimately, yes, the sprinter perk is actually really good. But all that to say is that the default sprinting speed wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. Whenever I found out that there was not going to be tac sprint anymore, I was very scared that this was going to be super slow and super clunky, and the game was going to feel like you have a 20-pound weighted vest, kind of the way like Warzone 2 felt. But it doesn't feel like that. It actually feels a lot more snappier. Now I'm going to move on to the new Warzone map. This is going to be a new Resurgence style map that is kind of like Liberty Falls. Yes, that's the zombies map that we had last year. They pretty much grabbed like the center of it and then expanded it. So I know you guys probably saw this on Twitter. A lot of people play tested this map early. I was not one of the people that play tested it, but from what we heard from the community is a lot of people didn't really like this map. And I'm not too sure why. I don't know if it's because I expected it to be horrible and then when I played it, it wasn't really all that bad. But I thought the map was okay. Like it wasn't anything insane, but it wasn't as bad as a lot of people were describing it. Some of the players that play tested it did tell me that the devs changed a lot, so maybe that's why. If so, I think it's dope that they actually took constructive feedback from that playtest and implemented it into the actual game. Now, is the new Liberty Falls map something insane? No, I think it's kind of just okay. Keep in mind, I only played 2 games on the map, so there was not a lot of feedback to actually give, but playing it for the time that I did, I thought it was pretty okay. Again, not like insane. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is gonna be the best map ever, it's gonna kill Rebirth, but it wasn't as bad as a lot of people said, especially with a lot of people play testing Air 99 last year and they hated it. So the fact that a lot of people play test this, and from the community, a lot of people said that it was pretty good. So the new Liberty Falls map, I don't know, I'll give it kind of like a 6 out of 10, maybe even a 7. It's alright, like it's cool. I do think I need a little bit more time on the map to either raise my rating or reduce it. Let's move on to Verdansk. Verdansk was, I don't want to say the biggest letdown of the event, but if we fly out to this event and the only thing that was kind of updated for big map, and given that one of those POIs is an old POI from like 2 years ago and the new POI is kind of bad, well, there's not really much to be excited about. I know a lot of people say, oh, you guys asked for Verdansk back, then they gave it to you, now you're complaining. And let me kind of break that down just a little bit. When season 3 came out, I was super excited, and so were so many people, because they fixed so many bugs and Verdansk came back. And for that month, it was genuinely the best part of Warzone that we've had in a long time. Then after that, they gave us practically 0 updates, no new meta changes, no new gun changes. It was genuinely just the same thing. No new content. They changed 1 new POI on the map in the last 6 months, and that's it. After they had just said at the last Call of Duty Next that they were going to be doing a lot more weapon meta changes, and the reality was there really wasn't any of that. So with there being no new changes all year, we expected, okay, maybe it's because they're getting ready for a new map. That's why they're not doing any implementations and any changes over the last year. So then when we went to Next and we see that it's Verdansk with only 2 new POI changes, and again, one of them being an old one, it was kind of a letdown. I personally didn't didn't really expect them to do a completely new map, but I expected them to do something maybe a little bit more than what they did. Maybe this is too much copium, but I was really hoping that they were gonna do rotating maps and we're gonna have Avalon and Verdansk kind of cycling between the two, but that was just me, you know, hoping for the best. And because of the last 6 months, because we haven't gotten anything, and then we get this update, it kind of was a letdown. And that's that I really wasn't coming to this next with a lot of expectations. Now, don't get me wrong, this is nowhere near as bad as, let's say, Warzone 2. I remember leaving Warzone 2's next, and I even have it on the vlog footage. That video is probably somewhere up on the channel, that every content creator was literally like depressed. Everybody was like, yo, we're done. This is horrible. I didn't get that vibe from this Call of Duty Next. It was more so like, oh, like that's it. They didn't really change much. They changed a couple different things, but it wasn't a drastic increase to what we already have. Yeah, they improved a couple little things, but for a new yearly release and a new Call of Duty implementation, it didn't feel like, whoa, this is a new banger update for Warzone. It just felt like, oh, we're gonna get new guns, cool, and that's kind of it. So for Warzone, if let's say Warzone 2 was a straight up 0 out of 10, 1 out of 10, I think this Warzone, I think it's just mid. Like, I'm not super excited, but I'm not like super depressed either, if that makes sense. I kind of expected the worst, so maybe that's why I'm not super let down. But I would have to say, if I had to give this rating, I'd say like a 3 or 4 out of 10. It's kind of just whatever. Again, mid is the best way to describe it. I wouldn't say this was the letdown because I wasn't expecting the craziest update ever, but I'm definitely not counting down the days until the Warzone integration. As a content creator, I for sure am, because I get to do more content. I get to do cool things like weapon camos. That is actually fire. But I've been a content creator now for about 5 years, so I know kind of the cycle. I'm gonna get all the camos the first 2 months, then the Warzone integration is gonna happen, then we're gonna play the game for the next 3 months, and then wait for the next one. One thing that I don't think got a lot of hype, which is so weird that they didn't really choose to shine light on this. Call of Duty said that from now on, they can tune attachments separately from the base game. So Call of Duty tweeted out this: the goal at Raven Software is to shake up the meta more often and tune attachments and gameplay to ensure strong competition within weapon categories, ensuring players have options when selecting their Call of Duty Warzone loadout. We can't wait to share more details on upcoming balance changes headed to Warzone when Season 1 drops. They then told us that they can then tune attachments separately and they can actually make changes. Before, the way it works is anything that was tuned in multiplayer had to be tuned for Warzone. Anything that affected multiplayer affected Warzone. And the multiplayer community hated that because they thought that Warzone catered to them, and the Warzone community hated that because they thought that multiplayer catered to Warzone. So no party was happy. The Call of Duty devs told us that things are now separated so Warzone can make changes without having to affect multiplayer anymore. Now, whether they choose to actually implement on those actions and give us actual new metas consistently, or make 1, 2, 3, 4 guns meta at one given time, which is the route that they should take, whether they actually do that or not, I don't know. But they did say that that's the new changes now, that they are different. Also, movement is different. Black Ops 7 multi has wall bouncing. Black Ops 7 Warzone does not. So it does seem like finally, we've been asking for this for so long. These are 2 separate entities that can finally be adjusted independently. But what that actually means, and if they're actually able to do anything with that, I don't know. Then funny enough, almost after wrapping Call of Duty Next as a whole, everybody's like, well, this is it. There's not really much. Like, it is what it is. All right, we're gonna have to wait another year. And then Call of Duty dropped a tweet. They said, approaching the drop zone, Call of Duty Warzone is bringing a bold new experience in spring of 2026, inspired by the original Blackout set on Avalon. And then they proceeded to launch a roadmap of what's coming later on in the year, which I'll be honest, I had absolutely no expectations. I had no idea this was coming, and this was a genuine shock. So in these pictures, it pretty much says Avalon Big Map, Rebirth Island Refresh. So I'm assuming it's gonna be a reskin of Rebirth Island. Then it says ranked play as well. And then here it says in 2026, Blackout BO7 experience. They say that they'll have more info to come later, but this has me questioning, what exactly does this mean? What does this mean for Warzone? Is Warzone done? Is this Blackout experience just a new game mode, or is this something completely new? Is this a completely new game? I'm going to be honest, I think this is genuinely what Warzone needs. Or I guess I wouldn't call it Warzone, I guess this would be Blackout, or whatever you want to call it. I'm curious to see how this plays out. I'm assuming there's gonna be no loadouts. You're gonna have to loot for your attachments. There's no ways to buy back, etc., etc. I wonder what led to this decision, because as a lot of people maybe don't know, but the Resurgence player count is significantly higher than the BR player count. Obviously, Resurgence is a fast-paced game mode, while regular BR is a little bit slower. This would be going the completely opposite direction, making the game a lot slower. But again, there is a certain niche and a certain market for that. As you guys probably already know, Battlefield will have a BR, and that will be be probably a lot slower than Warzone. And a lot of people are excited for that. So maybe this is Call of Duty's way of competing directly against Battlefield 6. I personally never really played Blackout, but even so, I'm excited to try something else out. Warzone has gotten stale over the last 4 years. You can blame that on no new updates, on whether the game just gets stale as a whole, but I'm pretty sure everybody watching this kind of just wants something new and fresh. Now, we'll say that could be Battlefield BR, but that also could not be your cup of tea, so maybe Blackout is. Whether this is gonna be good or not, only time will tell, but the downside is this will not be till spring. So this will probably release somewhere around March or April, and having to wait that long kind of sucks. But for now, we're gonna be getting the new Liberty Falls map and then some updates to Verdansk. So for me, not really too excited. I'm still gonna play it. I'm gonna grind all the camos. I will say this, the camos are absolutely insane. For campaign, the camos are sick. For multiplayer, the camos are sick. For zombies, probably the best camos I've seen in a long time. And for Warzone, those camos are fire. So I will be going for all 16 of those. But apart from that, there's nothing that really excites me other than just going for the camo grind. I'm gonna end this video by reading out a tweet by JGod, and I think he kind of summarized all of my thoughts and probably a lot of other content creators' thoughts as well. He said, from my overall perspective, it's cool we get a new Resurgence map, but lack of major big map changes until 2026, like 7 months away, sounds insane. Avalon finally coming, but not at all as expected, with a Blackout inspired mode, with 0 clips / traders to generate hype, with players left feeding off the nostalgia / hype from the first Blackout. Essentially asking for us to trust that it will be good, even though the Warzone community doesn't trust Warzone at all. One of the best things talked about generated almost no hype, which was Raven's ability to have full control of the weapons, their attachments, and the meta flexibility with both created class and floor loot to combat staleness. And the removal of tactical sprint, which I've always wanted in Warzone since Modern Warfare 2019, but don't commit to the wall jump with everything else they changed for the better. This doesn't even dive into the lack of trust in anti-cheat, which even if it was perfect, would take at least a year to change sentiment in my opinion. I agree with JGod on pretty much everything he said. The coolest thing that would actually make a difference in this game to come is that Raven has freedom to do whatever they want now when it comes to tuning, but I feel like that wasn't even talked about or hyped up. The new Liberty Falls map is okay. Again, I need more time on it, but is that enough to keep people staying playing the game or even bring new players to it? Verdansk got 2 new POI updates that are not that great, and from what it seems like, Battlefield 6 is about to come in hot. So to kind of wrap it up, I am excited for the multiplayer. I will be grinding that, but I'm only gonna be playing it for about a month until Warzone drops. But when Warzone drops, there's nothing crazy in my opinion to get super excited about. It's cool new content that I will play and I will grind, but I know after 2 to 3 months, it's gonna get a little bit old. But then we're just gonna have to wait for this new Blackout to drop, and then hopefully that one's good. But again, like JGod said, we have to trust that they're gonna make a good mode when they've continued to let us down over the last 3 to 4 years. So let me know what y'all think. Do you guys like the game? Do you guys not? Do you guys like Black Ops 7? Do you guys think Warzone is down bad? And what do you guys think about Blackout? Do you think that will be the revival of Warzone or of BR for Call of Duty?